Hi everybody and welcome back to Mathmagicians. Today we're going to be learning our multiplication tables or brushing up on our multiplication tables with multiplication checkers. So what you're going to need to play multiplication checkers is a checkerboard or a checkerboard printable, which you can get on the children's department site, playing pieces, and if you get the printable from the children's department site, there are pieces at the bottom that you can cut off and cut out, a marker, your times tables, and the instructions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you how to set up the board, and then I'm going to turn the camera down and we're going to just play a fake scenario so you can see how this goes. So if you have a checkerboard and you would rather use that, you can write your times tables on little pieces of paper or on little stickers and stick them right onto the board. If you would rather do a printable and write right on it, you can do that, and we have one for you. And you can, what you're going to do, you're going to write a multiplication problem without the answer in all of the blank white squares. So if you really need help with your 9s times tables, or you really need help with your 11s times tables, or whatever it may be, if there's one in particular or a couple in particular that you're really struggling with, you can do all of those, or you can do as many multiplication problems as you can think of, or you can do really hard ones, or you can do really easy ones. It doesn't matter. You know what you need to study, you know what you need to practice, so it's up to you what you put on the board. I just did a mixture of basic ones. And then you will also need at least 12 markers for each person. So like I said, this printable came with pieces at the bottom that you can cut out. I didn't cut out the circles perfectly. I just made them into little squares, but they're in 2 colors. You could use bingo chips instead. You could use Legos instead. You could use coins instead. But if you don't have anything at all and you need them, this printable does come with them. So that's what you need to do for setup, is get in or print out and fill out your board and get your playing pieces. And now I'm going to turn the camera down so we can do a practice. So upside down, this is your checkerboard, and you're going to want to put your pieces on the white squares. So when you normally play checkers, you put them on the dark squares, but because you move diagonal, when you play, the only way to get onto squares with the problems, the only way to get onto the squares with the problems is to start on the squares with the problems. So if you've never played checkers before, this is a quick overview on how to play in general. So you pick who goes first. It doesn't matter which color starts first. You can make that decision. And the first person, you can only move diagonally and you can only move forward. So if I'm the white pieces, I can only move my first row, and I can only move it like this. I can only move it to other white squares that are diagonal. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options of how I can make my first move. So I'm going to look at the 4 squares that I can move to and decide which one of these problems I want to do. So do I want to do 6 times 7, 7 times 8, 8 times 9, or 10 times 2? Well, I want to do 10 times 2. So I'm going to move here. And in order to stay here and not have to go back to where I started, I have to correctly answer the problem 10 times 2. So 10 times 2 is 20. So if you want to keep track of the problems that each person gets, and if they get them right, you can always get a sheet of paper and you can write it down and you can keep score that way. Oops. But since this is just a test round, I don't need to do that. So I made it to 10 times 2 and I got it right. And so my turn is over. It's the next person's turn. So this person, who's the gray squares or the gray circles, they can only move their front row to these 4 squares. So you can only move, where there's an open square, and it has to be diagonal from the piece you want to move. So this guy wants to move here. This one, he wants to do 4 times 5, which is also 20. He gets it right. He gets to stay. His turn's over. It's my turn again. So here's the other thing about checkers. Let's say I had moved this piece here and he had moved this piece here. Let's say I had started that way instead. I could then jump him, do 7 times 1 to get 7, and take his piece. And he just lost a player. So you need to think about where you're moving when you move, because you don't want to get jumped. Because the whole goal is you're trying to get all your pieces to the other person's back line so that you can get kinged. And that means you get to stack 2 of your pieces together, and now you can start moving backwards. You still have to move diagonal, but you can move backwards instead of just forwards on the board. So you're trying to get back here to get kinged, so you can move any direction you want, and therefore you can jump more of the other player's pieces. So I set it back up the way it was originally. So we'll do it, I'll do it like this. So I'm going to move this guy here, and 8 times 9 is 72. I think, yes, 72. And I got it right, so I get to stay. But now this guy jumps me, and he goes to 7 times 4. Let's say he says 7 times 4 is 21. It's not. 7 times 4 is 28. So he gets it wrong. So you can play this one of 2 ways. This can be up to you, and I will let you decide how you play. Although I don't have this in the instructions, but I just thought of this right now. So if this person gets it wrong, you can play one of 2 ways, that either if they get it wrong, they have to go back, and therefore they did not jump your player and that piece is still in play. You can also play it, if they go here and they get it wrong, you can act like it's a jump and you can take their piece away. We'll play it that he got it wrong and he has to move back, because that's what I have in the instructions. But you could do it either way. That could be up to you if you want to make it a little bit harder, a little bit trickier, or make the stakes a little bit higher. So basically, we'll just, for the sake of time here, okay, this guy got jumped. He moved in here. I jumped this guy here. This one moved down. I jumped it here, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I made it back here and I got kinged. I can now move this way or this way. So if this one wasn't here, I could jump this guy backwards, and then I could jump this guy. You still only get 1 turn at a time, but once you've been kinged, since you can move either direction, you have more options to jump players. So the game is over. Just for the sake of this, we'll say I jumped all of these, all of these pieces, and I won. That's how you win the game. When the other person is out of pieces, you've jumped or claimed all of their pieces, the game is over. So it's really just checkers. So if you've ever played checkers before, you already have a leg up. If you don't, I hope that was a decent, quick tutorial to help you learn how to play checkers. But you're also gaining your math skills, because in order to move on, it's strategy and skill. So you have to know or learn your multiplication tables to be able to move forward and get more right and keep going. But you also have to do the strategy that comes with, okay, I don't want to put my piece in a position where it can get jumped and things like that. So that is how you play multiplication checkers. Like I came up with on the spot, that if somebody gets it wrong, you can take their piece away if you want to play it that way. Let me know if you think of any other ways that you can play or alter this game to make it harder, to make it better to learn math, or just to make it more interesting. We hope you enjoyed Mathmagicians, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.